My name is Zezulka. I work at Mcintire's Garden Center in Georgetown, Texas. I'm creating this account, this channel, to post things about vegetable production, fruits, flowers, lawn care maintenance. Today I want to talk about sweet potato production. It can take up a lot of space, and if you have a small area, there's a way that you can grow them in what they call fabric pots or smart pots or dirt pots, but basically it's a fabric pot, and I'll show a couple of pictures here. Fill that up with an organic compost based potting soil, something with compost sand, maybe some bark. You can even add a little cocoa coir, peat moss to that as well, but make sure there is a compost base. And I usually like to mix a happy frog, something with the fruit and flower with phosphorus in it, and keep the potato trimmed to the edge of the pot. Get a lot of vegetation, but don't let it run across the ground. Keep it trimmed to the edge, and that'll force in that air pot, the roots will go to the edge of that pot and then self prune, and it's called air pruning because they hit the edge, it hits a dry spot, it makes the roots flare out toward the center of that pot because they found that dry spot on the edge of the pot that has fabric instead of plastic edge, and so you'll get a lot of potatoes in there. And by pruning that'll force more root energy, and because if it veggies out, it's going to take over a large space, and it's just trying to conquer space, make these little bitty potatoes. What you're trying to do is force all the potatoes right into that pot, and then at the end of the season you basically dump that pot out and harvest your sweet potatoes or yams. Sweet potatoes come in different forms. Slips that you can order through mail order. Baker Creek does this. They have heirloom varieties. You can also take a sweet potato that you buy from the grocery store and force it once you have long days in the spring. So in Texas that's going to be late March, April, maybe even May. You want to try to get your sweet potatoes out in the ground, June, late April. And basically if you wanted to make your own sweet potato slips, you just take a sweet potato, put it in a pot or something, cover it up with compost. They'll start sprouting up sweet potatoes. Take those cuttings or those little slips and put them in a pot and root them, or stick them in the garden. If you stick them right in the garden, you're going to have to baby them and water them and keep them moist. That's the trick. That's why I like to put them in little pots, get them rooted, and then you can take cuttings off of that and then put them in the garden. Or some nurseries, we try to do that process right there, and we'll sell them in pots. I'll show a couple of pictures of what ours look like, and you would just plant those right in the ground. They're rooted and they will take off immediately. At the garden center, how we take the cuttings of the sweet potatoes and any other cutting is we use this mist system that sprays and mist the potatoes or the cuttings of whatever we're taking 5 times a day or more, and for about 1 minute at a time. Sometimes we'll run it manually. So the mist system basically tries to keep the humidity up around the leaves, because whenever you take the cutting, the plant has no roots, so it kind of helps hydrate the air around the leaf, because it'll absorb that moisture through the leaf. And if you can keep the capillary action going up the stem into the leaf, it will root. Sweet potatoes root very easily. This is a small sweet potato. I'm going to try to get some potatoes out of here so we can re-sprout this for next year. We'll take the potatoes and store them up out of the ground so that we can re-sprout them. They don't store well in the dirt. Bugs, parasites, disease kind of rots the potato sitting in the ground. I've tried to keep them dry and it works. I can get them to come back, but it's usually best if you store the potato out of the dirt. growing conditions for sweet potatoes. They like it hot. They like to be moist but well drained. Do not put sweet potatoes in a low spot that holds water. That's why this pot works great. You will have to water them frequently, but that's better than them being swamped out. And they do like a very consistent warm temperature. Do not start sweet potatoes too early, or at least don't set them out, because a cool night will zap them quick. They will not like it. They will fold up and just rot away. So make sure it's consistently warm. You know, plant it later than you would your tomatoes and peppers. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm Zach Zezulka. Like, comment, subscribe. If you have a question, post it down below. Trying to get this stuff out there. I want people to be productive with food and be able to produce food for their family, and just make gardening fun. It's not fun when you're not productive, and it's hard here in Central Texas, which is where I'm located and the garden center is. We're at 303 Leander Rd, Georgetown, Texas. Give us a call, 512-863-8243.